Hi, welcome to the second video called Getting Oriented in ArcMap. The goal of this video is going to be to show you how to open up an ArcMap project, add some data to it, and start getting familiar with how ArcMap works. So we're going to cover 4 specific things. You'll learn how to create a folder path and add data to your project from that path. I'll introduce you to using toolbars in ArcMap, and then I'll show you 2 of the most basic functionalities that we'll use a lot in this class. That is Arc Toolbox and Arc Catalog. You don't necessarily need to follow along with this video step by step, but you're welcome to if you'd like. The data we'll be using is in the Lab 1 folder under Tutorials. Okay, so here goes. First, how do we open ArcMap? Of course, go to the Start menu, find ArcMap 10.1. You may need to look under All Programs, and it may be hiding out under the ArcGIS tab here. ArcMap 10.1 is what we'll be using. Now, Arc takes a little bit to open. It's pretty memory intensive, and the first screen we see will ask you if you'd like to open some existing templates or some existing projects. We're going to just start with a new project that has no data in it. Okay, so here comes our screen. I'm going to just hit cancel, and I've got my fresh Arc project here. It's important to note that your screen may not look exactly like this. Because you're maybe starting Arc for the first time, you may not be seeing a lot of the things that are already loaded on my screen. The first thing we're going to do here is add data to this project. There's 2 ways to do that. You can either go File, Add Data, or you can click this Add Data button. Okay, now Arc's showing us a selection of folders from which we could add data. So this works like a normal Windows Explorer interface, except for the fact that Arc will only show you folders that you've already set up a connection with. So before you can add data, you need to connect to the folder that you want to get data from. So to connect to a folder, come over and click on this icon, Connect to Folder, and right down here in the bottom, we're just going to type in the path to your Splinter folder. So // Splinter GG Students, and then whatever your personal folder name is. In my case, Whamadon. Hit OK. So after hitting OK, it should have added that, and I should be able to now find that folder under the menu here. Sure enough, I look down and here it is, Splinter GG Students Whamadon. So if I click on that, it's showing me the contents of that folder now. I can find my Lab 1 overview, and anytime we're working in the tutorial, like we are now in the videos, you're going to want to add data out of this tutorial folder. And in this case, we're going to add a Landsat image, which is of the Middlebury area. So I'll highlight it, click Add, and up it pops. Here's Lake Dunmore, here's the town of Middlebury, here's Otter Creek running through. Alright, now I'm going to add a second piece of data. This is going to be a shape file, so it's going to be a vector graphic, and specifically it's going to be a point file. And what it is, it's a file that contains the location of cities in Vermont, and each city will be represented by a point. We can now start to think about the functionality within the ArcMap workspace. So first, let's look here at the table of contents. We've got 2 data sets loaded. One of the things we can do is turn those on and off by checking and unchecking the box. And we can also change the relative color of symbols. For example, if I want to change the color of the cities layer, double click it, and I'll get this interface. I can change that to lime green, for example. Maybe I'll make the size of the symbol 8. And suddenly you can see that symbol appear here, a dot centered right in the town of Middlebury. Another thing I can do in the table of contents is actually move the relative order of the layers. So if I want to move this Vermont Cities layer under the raster layer, I can do that. Notice the green dot has now disappeared. If I want to move this back above it, I'll grab it and move it up, and I can see the green dot on top. So this is a way to change the overlay sequence of data. Okay, so that's the table of contents. Now let's look up here. This is displaying a number of different toolbars. And there's toolbars that do a lot of different things. One of the toolbars that should already be loaded on your computer is this basic toolbar right here. And this is what's going to allow us to navigate around. So, for example, these arrows will allow you to zoom in or zoom out. The magnifying glass will allow you to also zoom in by clicking once on the image, dragging and holding. Then when you release, it will zoom in on the box that you've drawn. Okay. If I want to move around on the image, I can use the pan hand, and that's going to let me change the field of view I'm seeing. And there's a few other things that we'll learn about later in the course. So to show you briefly how to add toolbars, go up to this blank space here, right click, and you'll see the whole list of possible toolbars that you could be using. Ones with checks next to them are already turned on. So I'm going to uncheck Editor, and you can see that I lost my editing toolbar. I'll uncheck 3D Analyst. Now I've lost that toolbar. One important thing is that some of these toolbars require special licenses, and those licenses might not be turned on your computer. So let's go ahead. I'll show you how to turn on a license for some of these. We do that by going to Customize, Extensions, and clicking the box of the toolbar you'd like to use. So you can see I've already got the extension turned on for Spatial Analyst and for 3D Analyst. Two of the toolbars we'll be using a lot in this class. So if you're following along, go ahead and turn those on your own computer, and they should stay on next time you open the software. Okay, so finally I just want to quickly introduce you to two other functionalities. One of these is called Arc Toolbox, and the other is called Arc Catalog. So let's start with Arc Catalog. That's this yellow file cabinet here. So I'm going to click that to open it. What it is, it's basically an organized folder interface that shows you all the folders that you have connected to. And you should always use Arc Catalog to create new files or delete existing files or to copy files. The reason for that is that every file in ArcGIS is actually composed of 3 to 6 different sub-files. And if you were to manage these files in the regular Windows Explorer, it becomes a big pain because you have to always deal with 6 or more files at one time. If you work with them in Arc Catalog, Arc treats all those sub-files in the same way and lets you move and delete things really easily. So let me show you an example of this. If you look under, well, let's go look under shape files here. And you can see here's one called Conway Geology. Shows up as a single file. Okay, I'm going to go find that same file under my regular Windows Explorer interface. This will take just a second. Okay, here it is, Conway Geology. You can see it's made of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different files. Okay, whereas when I look at that under Arc Catalog, it only appears as one file. And let's say I want to delete that file. I can just right click and hit delete, and all 6 of those underlying files are gone. Main take-home point: if you want to manage files, always use Arc Catalog. Okay, the final thing I want to show you is called Arc Toolbox. That's up here, this red icon. What this is, it is a listing of all the tools available that you can use to process your data in one way or another. There's literally hundreds of tools in here organized by category. I'll just quickly show you one example under data management, raster operations, raster processing, and it's the clip tool. If I double click it, it'll open up, and this would allow me to, for example, clip my Landsat image into a smaller image size, clip out a subset. So this is just one example of a number of different tools, and we'll be using these a lot as we go forward in the class. Finally, it's important to save your ARC project. Sorry, I just lost the project here. Should this ever happen to you, you can get it back by right-clicking on the raster and going to Zoom to Layer. Boom, it'll bring us back. Okay, the final thing I want to show you is how to save an ARC project, and that's really easy. Just File, Save As. Give it a name, let's call it Test, and call it Test 3, and it's going to save it as an ArcMap document. These will always have a file extension of .mxd, should you need to open one. Alright, so we've got our work saved, and we're done. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to follow along with our next video, it will be on how to create a shapefile. See you there.